Welcome to the Exit Rich podcast, where the leading authority on buying, selling, fixing, and growing companies, Michelle Seiler Tucker, is dedicated to helping you find the path to retire rich and move on to your next adventure by exiting your business for the desired dream price you deserve. Get ready to exit rich with your host, Michelle Seiler Tucker.
Hi to all my Exit Rich fans, and hi to all of our Facebook and LinkedIn friends. Welcome to another episode of Exit Rich. I have my very good friend, Brian Dalmaso, on the show today. We actually belong to the same mastermind. So I wanted to have Brian on because he has quite the background. He's an engineer. He worked at GE. Then he ended up getting into entrepreneurship, and now he owns 12 different companies. And he's an expert. Listen to this, y'all. He's an expert on building congruent revenue streams. That's my superpower too. And that's the thing that I always tell my clients is you have to build congruent revenue streams, because if you have one way you get paid, think about the restaurant industry, think about hospitality. So many restaurants died and went out of business because they have one way they get paid. That's dine in or dine out. And so you want to make sure you have congruent revenue streams. So if one revenue or two revenue streams fail, you have those other profit centers. Like I own multiple different businesses in different verticals. So if one business is not doing so well because of the pandemic, guess what? I have other businesses that are. So, and then also Brian was mentored by one of my favorite mentors of all time, Bob Proctor. I love Bob Proctor. I actually shared a stage with Bob Proctor a few times. And he is now on the consulting team, I believe, for Bob Proctor. So we're really going to get into mindset today. We're going to get into paradigms. We're going to get and how you can really change these bad habits, these bad paradigms, so you can have a successful business, so you can have a better quality of life. You can be a better mom, a better dad, a better parent, a better employer, a better employee. So without further ado, my good friend Brian, welcome to Exit Rich.
Hey, Michelle, thanks for having me. I'm blessed and honored to be here. Really appreciate you inviting me on the show. And boy, you couldn't have said it better when you opened up about building multiple congruent revenue streams. When we're working with people, we're not trying to say, be a realtor and open a restaurant, things that are like two different universes that take a ton of time each. It's
Right.
about building multiple revenue streams that work with each other that we've done here. And we actually just passed 33 revenue streams yesterday and growing.
Wow.
So it's happening pretty quick.
So 33 revenue streams, we got an hour here.
Sure,
but,
yeah.
That's a lot to unpack right there. So let's talk about 33 revenue streams really quickly. Can you name them off?
No, probably not. I do have a list, but what I do want to be specific. I actually only have 3 companies, right?
Yeah.
I have a consulting company, a construction company, and a software company.
Right.
And I'm CEO of those, but I have revenue streams in crypto and Forex. I have a lot of referral revenue streams. I have 3 different network marketing companies I'm still getting paid from the past, my past experiences. So then I have 8 revenue streams in the matrix. So just one company has eight cash flow centers. So it's more like that. I don't have 33 companies. That would be very difficult.
No, I said at the beginning of the show, I said 12 companies.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about that, like I have different companies, like I have medical, I have graphics, of course I have M&A, I have consulting. And the reason I can own different businesses and different verticals is because I really know business. Business
Yes.
is my game, But if you own a restaurant, like you just said, you don't want to go out and own an electrical company. You want to own maybe an e-commerce business, or maybe a private label business for some specialty food items that you have, something that's congruent. But what you said earlier is very important too. You said, I have multiple revenue streams in these 3 different companies, and referral program, which makes me think of, when you think of congruent revenue streams to all of our listeners, there's congruent revenue streams as far as how you get paid, and that can be, multiple revenue streams in your own business, or that can be multiple businesses. But even as important as that, what you just said about referral program, you should always have like at least 5 to 10 marketing channels. I call these marketing revenue streams. Like you just named referral partners one, obviously social media, obviously Google, SEO, content, et cetera. So I think that's important too. But before we get too far into the weeds,
Sure.
just tell us a little bit more about your background. You started as an engineer. and became an entrepreneur. You don't hear that too often. There's another gentleman in our group that's an engineer, and he built a multi-million dollar electrical company.
Yes, yeah, no, I was very fortunate, to be honest with you. I kind of stumbled into engineering in the General Electric company at age 17. I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. I wasn't surrounded by anybody that was an entrepreneur. It was all employee mindset, and there's nothing wrong with being an employee. I was very blessed, but I kind of followed my brother into trade school. I did very well, and I was very lucky to get on a co-op with the General Electric company at age 17. I was their youngest employee ever at that plant. And then I went through their engineering program, and I spent 10 years with them. Quite honestly, Michelle, I don't know if I ever would have left, right? General Electric, 6 weeks vacation. I loved what I did. We were working on nuclear steam turbines for submarines and power generation, and was using the latest technology, but the plant closed. After 10 years, they shut down pretty abruptly. And it's a good example, right, of being a one-trick pony, one revenue stream. It's like, in 10 years, I mean, that's all I knew. I didn't have plan Bs. I mean, you work for General Electric, everybody there is like, you made it, kid. You put your 40 years in, retire a multimillionaire, golden parachute, blah, blah, blah. So I was not prepared for them to close, and it was a shock.
And so you could have transferred to another plant, or you could have transferred within General Electric. Who was the CEO at that time?
Jack Welch. Jack Welch.
I love him. I spoke on.
Oh, Neutron Jack. Yeah, he's amazing.
Neutron Jack. But okay, so you could have transferred and stayed with GE and get that retirement package, but you decided to venture out into entrepreneurship.
I did, and I actually started taking some CAD, computer-aided drafting courses to build my portfolio. So like Unigraphics and SolidWorks and AutoCAD. So I was just sweetening my portfolio. And when I was taking one of those courses, I met a couple of principal engineers who were starting a brand new company. And we really resonated. They liked what I did in the class, and it was two principal engineers and myself. So I went from one of the biggest companies in the world to one of the smallest. I still wasn't an entrepreneur because I was working for them as an employee, but it was entrepreneurial. And
you can be an employee and be entrepreneur. I'm so glad you brought that up, because like I tell my team, I want them to be entrepreneur. I want them to come up with ideas. I want them to be empowered to make decisions.
No, absolutely. And my last probably 4 years at General Electric, I had started a side business like handyman, doing odd jobs around the neighborhood, building decks, painting houses, because I painted my own and I built my own decks. So I did start my entrepreneurial journey while I was at General Electric. I didn't really know it was entrepreneurial. I like building things, and I started doing it for other people. So I started my construction company on the side back then in 1998 or something. So I had that kind of going in. When I did the transition, I guess I had two revenue streams. I had this new, it was a research and development company, which is an amazing company. I wouldn't have left them either, right? We had a great run. Went from me being the first employee to 20 employees over 5 years. And then there was something in the market happened. It wasn't the crash, but it was like 2003 that just kind of took them down pretty quickly. So that's when I completely switched gears. I put the gas down on my construction company and became self-employed 100% for the first time in must have been 2002 or something.
So I think the universe was speaking to you.
Yes. Knowing what I know now, absolutely, right?
Closing, yeah, it's all about law of attraction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I had my construction company, and I had also met a girl and got married, and her family was a bunch of contractors, site development, equipment guys. And I connected with them, and I started working again for somebody else as a project manager, small company project manager, big opportunity, got to learn everything about construction inside and out, all the different trades. I was designing and building, having a great time with him. And then 2006, 7, and 8. Right. And so I still had my own company doing stuff on the side, but I was working full time for him. When that started to tank, we were in a big condo development. I said, listen, just lay me off. If things come back, I'll come back, no problem. Well, they never did for him. And then my company took off.
Wow.
And since then, no more partnerships, no more messing around. I've just been my own boss, and I still have that company. But it was many years later that I actually jumped into network marketing in the energy space, utility bills, electrical bills for individuals and commercial. So It wasn't pills, potions, and lotions. It was something I was familiar with. And
Pills, potion, and lotion. That's what makes up most of the internet marketing company, and obviously makeup.
yeah, no, I mean, a massive industry, like 300 billion a year. It's a massive industry. Almost everybody I know that's an entrepreneur has dabbled in network marketing or made it in network or something, right?
Right.
And when you do that, thing I love about network marketing, they're so heavily into personal development. So that began my personal development journey, Think and Grow Rich, the book. And also, when I jumped in, I wasn't messing around. I'm like, how do you get to 7 figures quickly? And I was working with the number 2 income earner in the company. And he's the one that connected me to Bob Proctor. That's how that all happened. So thank God I got into network marketing, right? I never would have met Bob. Never would have known him.
I want to transition into Bob because that and Bob Proctor and mindset and paradigms, because that's going to be the majority of our talk. But before we go there, what's 3 easy steps you can give our listeners advice on of how to create just congruent revenue streams in your business? Because again, you got, look, it used to be that 90%, it used to be startups at great risk. 90% of startups would go out of business in the first 1 to 5 years. Now you got existing businesses are at great risk. Only 30% of startups are going out of business, but out of 27.6 million businesses, those businesses that have been in business for 10 years or longer, 70% are going out of business. And that's a lot. There's the big reason for that is lack of aid, which is innovation and marketing. Always innovate, always market, right? But you got also like all these restaurants and so many other businesses, their profit center died.
Restaurants are tough.
So it's huge. So do you have 3 quick steps to help somebody build congruent? Because you were the master of congruent revenue streams.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I always go back to network marketing because it's a very, I think it's one of the most simple business models you can have, right? All you do is market and sign people up. But it's also, we used to teach a 3 to 5 hour a week business model. So for me, you can find anything under the sun, from makeup to skincare to health, utilities to insurance to finance. There's a network marketing company that will be in somebody's vertical, even if it's food. If somebody has a restaurant, well, there's a lot of ones that are nutrition based that they could pair up. They could cross market at their restaurant. So I'm a huge fan of finding a network marketing company for the average person. If you're not a Mark Zuckerberg, right? If you don't have that $1 billion idea, and most people don't, you don't need to. You can go into some of these things.
I think that's a very great idea, especially for like service businesses like doctors, chiropractors.
Oh yeah, of course, right?
But you got to be careful that you're not building yourself another job. Because network marketing can be a whole nother job.
It can be. I mean, the one thing, like I said, that we taught a very, very clear, concise 3 to 5 hours a week. And that model made me the number 2 income earner in one of the companies I was in. I didn't spend more than 5 hours a week. Very disciplined, very high impact. So there's a big difference between being in network marketing and learning to be a professional network marketer. And almost nobody in network marketing are really professionals, treating it like a career, studying, like getting with top leaders, doing what they say, following a business model. So most people are kind of dabbling because it costs a couple $100 to get in. But I always say that a professional network marketer will out earn a professional brain surgeon like 10 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's good advice because, oh my God, I brought him into our mastermind now. James Dentley, he is a professional network marketer. So I think that's really good advice. I just joined EXP. We do business all over the world, and I'm trying to build people under me, but I'm gonna have to emulate your 3 to 5 business hour plan.
I'd be happy to show you.
So network marketing, number 1. Do you have 2 more easy steps?
Yes, I would say whatever vertical you're in.
Nothing's easy, by the way. So.
Well, no, nothing's easy. I mean, if you don't want, to get to the top, you just stay an employee, right? Don't work for yourself, right? But if you want to be in control of your own income, your own environment, your own economy, your own life, you can be an employee and do these things on the side.
Yeah. So I would say network marketing is a good idea. Sure. I always tell business owners too to really look at your business and ask yourself, what business are you in? And then ask yourself, what are your superpowers? What are your superpowers? And then number 3, what business should you be in? McDonald's did that a long time ago. And I said, hey, we're in the restaurant business. And then they're like, wait a minute, we're in the real estate business, you know?
Right. They made
Amazon
more
did
money
that
in real
too.
estate. Yes.
Yeah, and
Perfect
Amazon
example.
did that too back in the 80s. They're like, we're in the book fulfillment business. And then they said, our superpower is fulfillment. What business should we be in? Oh, we should be in fulfillment all around the world,
Yes.
fulfilling for other people. And now they've evolved into movies and grocery stores, etc. So I think those are three big questions to ask.
Those are two great examples. And the next thing that I advise to get into is affiliate marketing and referrals, right? If you, especially where we are in these masterminds, like people have legitimate, amazing services, and you can get into referral programs that pay monthly residual income. We're approaching 7 figures a year just in referrals, residuals, referrals.
Wow.
So that is
Residual,
another
hey,
thing.
residual is the key.
Residual is the key.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
on that, I want to piggyback off of that real quick, because one of the biggest things I always tell my clients in the Road to Exit Rich program that we have is to build that reoccurring model. You know, and that subscription model, because if you have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in your subscription model, guess what that does? That drives value, that drives value, that drives value. Number one, it creates sustainability. You can scale that. And now you have created a valuable asset that will get you a much higher multiple without that. Just make sure in your contract you have that transferability clause.
I was just going to say, in your line of business that you're building your book of business, right? If you have a sustainable monthly residual income, I mean, that's one of the best things you can sell in a book of business. So
yeah, and I think every business owner needs to try to get to that. I know it's hard in the restaurant industry, and hard, you know, but you know what? Commander's Palace in New Orleans did it. They created a wine and cheese subscription. So during the pandemic, they would deliver, so you could choose between $50 to $150 baskets and wine, and they would deliver them to your front yard. But they would tell people all around the world, go get your favorite wine and cheese, and they would have, you know, experts on a Zoom call. And so now they have a subscription.
Right.
That's a restaurant.
That's a perfect example. And that's what we did when I started working with Bob. We got licensed to teach his content. I was very blessed to mentor with him for about 10 years, a lot of one-on-one. And so he has a program called Thinking and Results. It's a 10K 6 months, but it's 6 months and done, right? So it's nice. And we have a team, so it's an M2 business model. There is some leverage because I have a sales team selling it. But if I go away, it goes away, right? So it's not what we call an M3 that just like an ATM. It just keeps printing money.
You want to build those ATMs. Mailbox money.
Yeah. So I took sort of the franchise model from Bob and the license there, and I created residual downsells and upsells. And that's how we went from 1 to 7 offerings. 5 of those offerings are monthly residual income subscriptions. So now those are monthly recurring, right? Now it's like you're not having to keep selling. It's more of what we call an ascension ladder, all the way from like $37 a month to like $5K a month. So people in our field with mindset, they're always improving their income because of what we teach. And it's always what's next.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. All right. So how was it like to be mentored by Bob Proctor?
You know, when I first started working with him, I didn't really get a full understanding of who he was. I went to a conference. Again, I just followed the advice of my network marketing mentor, super sharp guy. You'd make about 150K a month back when that was a lot of money. And he said, you got to go train with us. You got to go to Vegas and see this guy. It was actually Eric Worre, his GoPro Mastery. And he said, this is what 7-figure earners do. So I was like 3 weeks in the business. I packed up my 2 distributors and we went to Vegas. And I saw Tony Robbins and Richard Branson and 30 other speakers over like 3 days. Bob Proctor was one of them. I had no idea who he was.
You know what's funny? I was speaking at an event and we were at a cocktail party. And somebody said, "Oh, there's Bob Proctor," and I'm like, "Where?" I'm thinking about the price of Bob Proctor. I'm like, "Where's Bob Proctor? Price is Right?" And they're like, "No, Bob Proctor, the motivational guy, the mindset guy." And I'm like, "Who is that?" And then I got to know. We went to dinner together, and then I got to know him. I have pictures with him as well. Great guy.
Oh my God, amazing! I mean, he's not as well known as like a Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is more of a motivational guy, but Bob's a metaphysics and a science guy. He's teaching way different than like a Tony Robbins, but he's much less known. I think he's more known now than he was 10 years ago, especially since he just recently passed. But yeah, I didn't know who he was. But when he started doing his talk, he brought out a board and he started drawing what we call the mind map, the mind-body connection, conscious, subconscious, and body. So that triggered me as an engineer. For the first time, and I was 41 years old, somebody showed me how a human being thinks, acts, and operates at like a mechanical level, like a scientific level.
Right.
It wasn't just motivational and you know, kind of woo-woo. It was like, do this and you'll get this.
Right.
It was an actual roadmap. So from there, I just became obsessed as a student. I applied what he taught. That's when I became the #2 income earner. And I also scaled my construction company from $1 million to 10 million in 12 months.
Wow.
That was my first experience with Bob in the first year.
Yeah.
And after that, I went up to see him for a whole week, and he made a suggestion that we start working together as a consultant.
It's so sad that he's passed. You know, I listen to him every day, and the way to take my daughter to school, I make her listen too. You know, she wants to listen to the radio, and I'm like, that's junk for the brain. You're not listening to junk for the brain. So we're going to listen to Bob Proctor. So now she likes Bob Proctor. She's
Nice.
years old. So let's talk about mindset. Why is mindset so important? I think mindset is everything. You know,
It is everything.
90% what, look, it's 10% what happened to you. It's 90% how you react to it.
Yeah, 100%. It is all mindset, right? And it's the reason is because thoughts become things.
Right.
That's not just a cute phrase. It's the metaphysics of why I'm holding a cell phone, right? This used to be a thought in Steve Jobs' mind. Yep. And it's a transmutation of energy from thought to thing. So when we understand that you can't achieve anything that isn't in your mind consistently and at a high vibration, you'll understand how important it is. You know, we have a conscious mind, which is the thinking mind. We have a subconscious, which is the emotional mind that taps into source. And then we have this thing called a body. Most people think they are their body, which is not the case at all. We are a spirit expressing through a body, or on the scientific side, we're consciousness expressing through a body. We moved into our body when we're born, we'll move out at the end, but there's no such thing as death. It's all just transmutation of energy. So when you start to understand this stuff on sort of a cosmic or universal law level, you'll understand, like, we teach exactly how Elon Musk thinks and acts and operates. How does he process the information? It's quite different than everybody else, right?
Why did he buy Twitter?
Well, that was just a flex because he can.
Yes, he can. That's right.
I love him. Now he's just got, you know, FU money, and he can just do.
I don't like Jeff Bezos, basically.
Yeah. There's been some funny things going around about Elon Musk talking to Jeff Bezos about buying Amazon. Said add to cart, buying your company.
So back to your analogy, and I think that's very important. You know, I listened to Bob Proctor speak at a conference, and he said, "Look, I can walk next to you or whatever. I can meet you on the street, not even meet you, but just walk by you, and I know exactly what type of energy you are. I know exactly what type of person you are instantly." And he says, "I can do that in this audience."
Yeah.
So he just started picking out people and you know, really naming what they are. And he was dead on. And then he looked at me and he says, "You're very powerful. You're very strong. You're a bulldog. Nothing gets in your way." You know, and he's amazing.
Well, there's a reason why he can do that. It's physical. He studied physiology. The shape of your head and your body and how you hold yourself actually tells a lot about you. But then he can also sense. Intuition is your ability to sense vibration. A lot of people don't understand intuition. It's called the sixth sense. It's something you can strengthen, right? And we have a bundle of nerves at the base of your spine that senses vibration. That's what intuition is. It's actually a physical thing. So his intuition was off the charts because he's been studying it for 60 years. So yes, he can feel vibration, but he also does physical traits with somebody. He can tell by your facial expressions and even the shape of your head and your body a lot about you, left brain, right brain, and then some generalities. But
can you do that?
Not as good as him, but somewhat.
Can anybody do as good as him?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's 63 years, right? He studied every single day for 63 years straight without fail. That's just, I mean, I don't know anybody that's ever done that. I'd say he's got a 63-year degree in the mind-body connection and how to create wealth.
How many hours?
Yeah. At least an hour a day. That was his thing. He's so disciplined.
And I know he study Think and Grow Rich a lot, Napoleon Hill, but what
Every
else?
day, not a lot. Every single day, all the way up
Every
till
day
his
he
dying
studied.
day. At least a chapter or a phrase. I have it right here.
But what else did he study?
Oh my God, thousands and thousands of books. I have it right here on my desk, open
Yeah,
every day.
I have it by my bedside.
But I mean, thousands and thousands. He studied science and theology and metaphysics and quantum mechanics and over 300 religions. He studied this thing from all angles. I don't know how many thousands of books he's read.
And in his recordings, he says he's not educated, but yet he's highly successful. He's not a businessman, but he's got
Traditional
business all over the
educated,
world.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what he says. Yeah, in his
Yeah.
results.
Elon Musk says that too. He said, I didn't graduate for Harvard, but most of my employees have.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's the key to success.
And
Surround
again,
yourself with people smarter than you, right?
yes. And there's
Right,
nothing
so
wrong
let's-
with being an employee. You know, if you want to be part of a team and
I don't think you should just be an employee. I think that you should be an entrepreneurial employee.
I would agree.
Put into a team
Mhm.
and bring your ideas to fruition and voice them, you know, don't just hide in a cubicle and not voice your opinion or voice your ideas. Because look, you don't build a business, you build people and people build a business.
Exactly. I love that.
So let's talk about the paradigm. 'Cause, you know, Bob Proctor always says, look, if you got an employee that's late and they're always late, you can talk to them till you're blue in the face. You can put in a policy and procedure manual. You can write them up. You can do all this stuff, and they'll be on time for a few days. But then they're going to be late again because it's their paradigm. If you know, same thing with entrepreneurs. If you have an entrepreneur that hasn't broke six figures yet, you know, they're not gonna make it until they change their paradigm. And T. Harv Eker said that too in A Millionaire Mindset. So let's talk. What is a paradigm?
No, this is the crux of what makes what we teach different than anybody else in the world, right? Is understanding what a paradigm is, how it got there, and how to modify it to get the results we want. So a paradigm is just a fancy word we use to describe all of the mental programs that are stored in your subconscious mind since birth that are controlling all of your results. And I can give you an example. You never chose to speak English.
Right.
When you were a baby, it was just spoken around you. And since when you're a baby, you can't reject anything. You have no ability to reject. Went right into the subconscious mind and got stored as a program called the English language. And then you learned one called walking. And then whatever else your parents did, whatever was in your environment, healthy relationship, toxic relationship, rich, poor, whatever is around you, all those mental programs from age like 0 to 7 get stored as mental programs right in your subconscious mind. And then we put kids in school. And we're not teaching anything about thinking or reasoning. We're teaching all memory. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it doesn't serve you as an
Yeah, they
entrepreneur.
come out of school and have such bad memories.
Yeah. It's temporary memory, right? Just enough to pass the test.
Yeah, they get such bad memories. I have a guy that works for me right now and says, I have to study the day before. I'm like, why don't you study in the weekend? He goes, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
The day before, the night before my test, I'll stay up all night long.
Yeah. And so there's a habit that's not serving him, right? So he studies the day before to pass the test and he doesn't retain anything.
Right.
So that's what we're taught. We're taught to test take.
Right.
Temporary retention, but even that though, it's memorizing history, English, science, math. It's not thinking or reasoning. And there's nothing about entrepreneurship. They're not teaching about real estate or balancing your checkbook or what compound interest is or how to even think, how to problem solve. None of that's really taught in schools and even in college, right? You know, the only reason to really go to college is if you want to be a doctor or something specific,
right?
Or as an engineer, right? There's specific things.
But
But going to general studies is.
It really is because, you know, I even have masters in finance that come here and they don't know anything in finance. You know, a
So
lot of
true.
them don't know how to read a tax return. They don't know how to work in QuickBooks. They don't know what EBITDA is. They don't know how to do evaluations. So, and same thing with marketing. You know, these poor marketing students pay a fortune.
Yeah.
To go to school. They come out and they really don't know the tactical. Like, you know, theory. They don't know how to do Facebook ads. They don't know how to work on a website or build a website. They don't know how to do Google ads, you know, SEO, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, the best education you could get is to be an intern for somebody like you.
1,000%. That's why we
Right.
have a list of interns waiting. Well, I think we have a list of 50.
That's the best education they could get.
Yeah. And all of my
bar none.
interns, yeah, all of my interns have said that. So, okay, back to paradigm. So,
So it's no wonder why, if you think about it, I forget what the percentage is, but it's, 90 something percent of people get to retirement age, even in the United States, and they can't retire.
Yeah.
Right. So traditional education, high school, college, 40 years of working, still can't usually retire and live a heavenly life. That's a broken model. So I'm a numbers guy. That's just a broken model. Taking 40 years to do something you can do in 6 months doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So paradigm, just explaining paradigm though, it's your internal system of how you were raised, and most of it comes from your childhood.
Yep.
Right? It's your habits from your childhood. It's your mental programs from your childhood.
Yep.
And whatever baggage you suffered during that childhood, even if you didn't suffer any baggage, you got a certain behavioral and habits that have already been formed. So let's take the employee that's late all the time, or let's say an employee gets stressed out, and it's a very, very good employee, but they're always stressed out, and no matter what. How do you correct how can they correct their paradigm to have a better quality of life and a better work life?
That's a really good question. I mean, whether we can solve it here or not, I can definitely give some ideas. The first step is awareness on what it is, right? If somebody's saying they're stressed, what they're really doing is they're being in a reactive state to something in their environment, whether it's a deadline or coworkers or their boss.
Or their family.
Their family, it could be a whole bunch of things. But what they're doing is they're having negative thinking. Doubt and worry and negative thinking. That's the transmutation of energy goes from thought to thing, right? So they have worry. What if I'm late? What if I don't make it? What if I miss my deadline? What if I get fired? They're literally just consumed by what if, but in the wrong direction. Instead
what
of
if I'm not a good mom? What if I'm not a
Exactly.
good wife? What if I'm not a good girlfriend? What if I'm not a good child
Yeah.
for my parents? I mean,
we're programmed to do this.
And a lot of it's external from work,
Oh yeah, 100%. What if the
most of it
economy
is probably
crashes? What if
external.
I catch COVID, right?
Yeah. Which is
We
why I
teach
always say
people the
try to
polar
leave
opposite.
I always say try to leave your suitcase, your personal suitcase at home when you check at the door. When you go home, try to leave your business suitcase at the door. Yeah.
So one of the most powerful things we teach is something called the life script. It's a series of auto suggestions where you're rewiring your subconscious mind with positive affirmations. And that's where it sounds a little kind of woo-woo. Oh, affirmations, positive.
I do it with my daughter. I do it with my daughter every day.
Yeah, I challenge you to find somebody that's super successful that doesn't have affirmations and vision boards and scripting, and they've scripted out their life. They've visualized it. I've never seen anybody yet that doesn't use these principles. In the book, Think and Grow Rich, this would be good for your clients here and your listeners. Chapter 4 on auto suggestion. That's the principle of what we're talking. You literally auto suggest from the conscious into the subconscious. So happy and grateful now that I'm earning in excess of $1 million a month. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm an amazing mother. I'm physically fit. I'm blessed. You have to brainwash yourself repetitively in the morning and at night for a long enough period of time for your subconscious to grab it. And the biggest
I'm so happy I'm on time. I'm so happy.
That would be it.
Exactly. Early. I'm 5 minutes
Exactly.
early every day. I'm so happy that I'm closing 3 deals a month.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. You affirm the opposite of what's happening.
Right.
And here's the thing that I think will help your audience the most. Why do we have to do this? Why can't just everything be everything? Well, paradigms aren't good or bad, by the way. It's just all the mental programs that control your results.
Right.
Smoking is not a physical habit. It's a mental program expressed physically.
Right.
And so is wealth building. Right. The
so
subconscious.
So is drinking. So
yes. Yeah. Success and failure are all the results of mental programs, and the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. So let's flip the script a little bit. Imagine, I'll have your audience imagine if they had grown up with Warren Buffett as their dad. And I haven't met Warren personally yet. I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy, but at least financially, imagine being surrounded with somebody that earns about 40 million a day from birth and learning all of those habits, right? Same baby, different environment. At least financially, every single one of your listeners would already be a billionaire by now, and they wouldn't think much about it. It's just another language. So paradigms aren't good or bad. It just is. It's just your mental programs.
That makes me think of the Max Factor era. You take the Max Factor era, which was, he had millions, billions, right? And then he went and date raped all these women. And now he's in prison. So just because you were raised in a billionaire family, like Warren Buffett is, I think he's great. But
Well, that's why I said
I'm
just
giving an
financially.
example of the max factor,
Mhm.
because then you have.
Well, no, but that's why I said financially speaking. I don't know if Warren's a good guy or bad. I'm not talking about health, wealth, love, happiness. I'm talking about just that one set of mental programs.
But what's odd is, yeah, that financial programming is great, but he just self-destructed
Yes.
his whole financials. I had a client that did that. I had a client in whose business we were selling, and he decided to get married to his high school sweetheart while he was already married. And then he had a catastrophic event with one of his employees, and then he falsified records on workers' comp. So he took a $40 million business, a $30 to $40 million business we could sell to a $1.2 million company that sold in bankruptcy court. Now, what paradigm is that?
Well, again, it could be a whole host of things, right? So he didn't have the paradigm called integrity.
Yeah, he didn't have the
He was probably like he crossed the line of integrity, so he didn't have
like
a mental program called morally correct. Yeah.
So it's not, let's work with an easy one. If
Sure.
somebody's always late, because I think that's an easy one. If somebody's always late, how do you?
Super simple. I would just you literally write it out on your nightstand, on your journal. I'm so happy and grateful that
early, so I'm programmed to be early.
we both are. Yeah. Most entrepreneurs, that's we show up. We're eager to get to things. We respect people's time, but most employees, you kind of get in that employee mindset, especially like General Electric. I'll be honest with you. When I got hired there at 17, I was ready to go. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm going to change the company. And it was a union, and they say, hey kids, slow down. Don't do too much work in a day. Literally, these guys that have been
That's
there.
ridiculous. You should not tell your employees to slow down. If your employees are on a roll and they have great ideas, because a lot of employees have great ideas. Sometimes they have better ideas than the owner does.
Well, these were fellow coworkers. These are the fellow coworkers, guys that have been there 20, 30 years they were just coasting on the government contracts. They didn't want to look bad. So these were fellow coworkers that, and I didn't know anything at the time about paradigms. So it actually started to curb my work ethic, right? I'd take longer lunches.
It wasn't an entrepreneurial company. General Electric is not an entrepreneur.
No. But it's a good example of an environment.
Yeah. So you just write it. So specifically what you should write down if you want to be on time. Yeah,
I'm just so happy and grateful that I show up early for work, in a cheery, happy, confident way. Something, with buzzwords, and you just literally repeat it at night before you go to bed 10 times out loud. Get into the feeling of how your boss is recognizing you, how you're showing up early, how it's impacting your work, how you're getting a raise. You can visualize the effect of showing up early.
Are you closing more deals?
Closing, whatever it is. Yeah, absolutely. And you just write it out.
And you repeat that in the morning and at night?
Yep, exactly. Before you go to bed, maybe 10 times or something Bob used to say.
10 times in the morning, 10 times at night.
Yep. The principle of auto-suggestion, chapter 4 in Think and Grow Rich.
Principle of auto-suggestion.
You do that for anything, physical fitness, closing deals, relationships. You can change these little habits.
Being a daughter, being a mom.
Being present, listening more, anything you want, one habit at a time.
Yeah, you can only, that's a good point, because everybody tries to, be extra, have extra achievement and tries to do 10 at once, and you can't, right? It's gotta be, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you have to work on one habit at a time.
Mm-hmm.
How long
Bob says one or two, not 10, but 1 or 2 things at a time. Yeah.
And I get overzealous, so I try to work on 10 things at once, but so how long does it take to break the old paradigm to the new paradigm?
It all depends on the person. Anything
on average. Yeah.
It depends. It depends on the person and the task.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to show up early, that's a relatively easy thing. If you want to break 7 figures a month, it might be a little more challenging. If you're severely overweight and you're trying to correct that might be. So it really depends on what you're trying to do and the person. There is no average. People say 21 days. People say different things.
I've heard 60 to 90 days to break a habit.
Well, 60 to 90 would do it for most people. That's definitely, if you're doing that every day, morning and night. But Bob would always say you do it until.
You do it until.
It's the best thing, because it might happen in 3 days.
Yeah. And some people never, some people never accomplish it, like quit smoking, or lose weight. Some people never accomplish that. And it is a paradigm about every single thing. If you're overweight, it's your paradigm, right? If you're
absolutely. Your body is just a physical representation of a multitude of thoughts. That's all your body is.
So what would you do to change a paradigm for somebody who has a lot of anxiety?
Focus on being calm and confident. I'm so happy and grateful that I go through life in a calm, confident, heavenly manner. What you don't say is, I'm so happy and grateful that I don't have anxiety. You don't use the words, you don't put any energy towards not having the thing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't say I'm happy and grateful that I quit smoking. You'd say, I'm so happy and grateful that I live in a perfectly healthy body as intended by God and nature.
Yeah.
And
all
that's what
successful, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's where people make mistakes. I'm making a goal to get out of debt is the worst possible thing anybody could do.
Yeah, they talk about that in The Secret, and Tony Robbins talks about that. In The Secret, they never say, oh, I hate being in debt, I hate being in debt, I want to be out of debt. They say, I am debt-free, right?
Abundance.
So I am, I have abundance. I have mailbox money. I am debt-free. You can say debt-free, I think, you know? And
Absolutely.
so you always have to say the opposite. You can't say I have anxiety. You can say I'm calm, I'm calm.
There's actually a universal law called the law of polarity, which is law of opposites.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
The one thing that's not mentioned in Think and Grow Rich is why, though. And the reason why we need to auto-suggest repetitively, and this is one your audience wants to write down, is because your subconscious mind is about 1,000,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind at storing data. Right. Once the English
people
language,
have a hard time remembering things.
Absolutely. It's small bits of information repetitively. That's how you get it from the conscious into the subconscious. And once the subconscious grabs it, then it becomes a habit, whether it's smoking or wealth building, going to the gym or sleeping late.
Yeah, that's really important. So go back and say that one more time so the audience gets it.
Yeah, it is important because I always like to get to the why, the foundational why.
Me
you need
too.
to do
I'm
something.
a why person.
And the reason we need to auto-suggest is our subconscious mind, our data storage center, is 1,000,000 times more powerful than our conscious mind at storing data. So we can get a conscious idea, I want to be early.
Yeah.
But the subconscious is what controls the body. When you're speaking, you're accessing a program called English language, and your subconscious is moving all kinds of muscles in your vocal cords. When you're walking, if you had to consciously walk, you'd fall on your face. You don't have the computing power in your conscious mind to move hundreds of muscles in succession. That's a subconscious program. If you think back to a little baby when they're walking, it's in real time. Their subconscious is storing data, what's working and what's not. If they fall over, ouch, they don't store that. If they make a step, the subconscious stores that as part of the program.
So if somebody grew up with family members that had lots and lots of anxiety, they're gonna have anxiety because they're programmed that way.
Quite possibly, yeah. Not guaranteed, but quite possibly.
Quite possibly, yeah. So when you take somebody who has lots of trauma, lots of childhood trauma, because a lot of my listeners, business owners, have trauma, right? I mean,
sure.
Lots of people. Look at Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Look at Oprah Winfrey. They all have childhood trauma. Joyce Myers. But
a lot of entrepreneurs, they hit that rock bottom in one way or another. It's a common thing. I've hit some rock bottom things in my life too. I've been divorced 3 times. I've been this close to bankrupt. Went $500,000 backwards before I went forward. So
I love your girlfriend, so let's stick with her.
No, she's the one. She's my
she's the one. I love her. Yeah.
She's my unicorn.
She is your unicorn. So anyway, so go to childhood trauma real quick, because I always tell business owners, I can never help you grow your business beyond what you can grow yourself. So we have to grow the owner for the business to grow, because if the owner's stuck, the business will be stuck, right? So
no, this is a perfect topic. I'm glad you asked this question, because most of the world has it wrong. Most of the medical profession, most of psychiatrists have it 100% wrong.
They just want to treat the symptom and drug you.
Yes. Or they put you on the couch, come see me once a week for the rest of your life. They're building their own residual income.
Well, I think people need therapy, and I think that's good. And I think,
therapy is amazing.
Yeah.
But what you don't want to do is focus on the trauma or the problem. Now think about the subconscious mind.
Don't focus on the trauma. Don't focus on the problem. Correct. Yeah. That's how they get it wrong, because they're focusing.
That's how they get it 100% wrong.
They're on the symptoms and the problem. Go ahead.
So understanding the subconscious mind is going to create more of whatever is auto-suggested into it. So if we keep reliving these things, trying to figure it out, the subconscious mind is going to keep bringing things into your life to keep that pattern going.
So if you keep trying to figure out why you have anxiety, like I just talked to a gentleman the other day that, was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and they had him on all these drugs, and then he was in the hospital, and the doctor said, you got to get off these drugs.
Yeah.
Somebody said to him, I don't know if it was a doctor, he said, you got to get off these drugs. He quit cold turkey that day.
Yeah.
And then there's Corey's wife's friend in our mastermind. There's this woman's son died at the age of 26 because he was on 3 different drugs.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
they interacted
Yeah.
with each other, and he basically, died in his sleep, fixation in his sleep because of the 3 different drugs.
No, that's so unfortunate. And you're right. I mean, pharmaceuticals, multi-trillion-dollar global industry. And then, I'm not blaming the medical profession. They're working with their
We're
hands
not saying not to take. we're not
Yeah,
saying not
they're
to
working with their
take
hands
marketing
cuffed, right?
therapy. That's not what we're saying, but there's alternative ways to building wealth. There's
There are alternative ways for sure.
anxiety. There's alternative ways to deal with childhood trauma. I've got partners that have childhood trauma, and they sabotage, everybody that they bring in because of neglected as a child.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense knowing what we know about the mind, So the first thing when I'm working with somebody that's had trauma, whatever it is 2 things. You got to get them to let go. It's a lot of energy when somebody's always reflecting on the trauma. It's all consuming. It's self-sabotaging. So the first thing you got to show them is it's number one, it's not their fault. If they made a mistake, if they did something to cause the trauma, it's not their fault. They're doing the best they can with the information they have in their subconscious mind. And I give them a book by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah.
He was a Viennese psychiatrist. He went through the Holocaust, and the Nazis slaughtered his children, his family, everything, 4 years of torture. He did not blame the Nazis. He said they were doing the best they could with the information they had. They were only following their mental programming from birth. So he's able to let go of any anger, any hatred. Those are all low vibration frequencies.
Yeah.
Right. He said it's not their fault, it's their programming.
It's absolutely not their fault. Yeah.
Right. So the first thing is to let go, right? Don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. Whatever. I don't care if you did something and went to jail. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's your program. It's usually environmental programming.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody else did something to them, we got to let, if it's their parents, if it was a coworker, or a drunk driver hit your kid or something traumatic.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You gotta let go, and it's not for them, it's for you. It's all the energy and baggage.
Well, you hear these stories sometimes when you hear, the parents talk about their child being murdered, and they're like, I forgive you because it's better for them.
Well, they understand. They somehow did some studying, and they're aware of how this all works, or they realize that energy will just destroy you. I mean, there's no way to come back from it. And if we're always reliving it, that's going to be the rest of your life. We're building more programs to cause the same kind of feelings. So what we want to do is educate somebody on the mind-body connection, even somebody with PTS from going overseas and in the military, right? They weren't born with depression. That's what I said, you weren't born with this, right? I said anything that can be programmed into the subconscious mind can be programmed out. And that's how we get them. So you don't have PTSD. It's not a disorder. It was a traumatic situation that created an instant paradigm that we can unwire. And then the light bulbs go off. So you mean I don't need to have this for life? No. Then they get on the side of hope, and then they'll do what we ask of them, which is auto-suggestion. And you focus on the polar opposite. You suggest to yourself repetitively that you live in a calm, confident, abundant, heavenly way. And you focus on your loving wife and your loving kids, and thank God I'm in America. And you only focus on what you want. Now, here's another phrase that you'll get. If I want this,
will that help cure?
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's not a disease. It's not a disorder. It's a traumatic incident that created a temporary paradigm.
Well, why are more psychologists teaching this?
They're not taught that in school. They're taught to push drugs.
Yeah.
That's where all the money is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's, now Eastern, Asian and Eastern philosophy and naturopaths, there's a whole bunch of people that do teach this stuff. It's not mainstream, right? It's so much easier. And again, I don't blame the medical profession. They get 30 minutes to see somebody, in and out, here's some pills. Like, it's not their fault.
It's the way they're educated. They were programmed.
They are. It's a broken system.
The doctors were programmed, yeah.
But that's and it takes time and stuff. But once you can get somebody understanding that there's hope, they'll do the work. But what happens when somebody from the military comes home, somebody in a white suit, white coat says, you have PTSD, you're going to need to do this for the rest of your life. And then they believe it. That's right. They believe it. So now it becomes a mental program, and subconscious mind says, okay, we need drugs for the rest of our life.
Yeah. All right, well, that's good advice. Let's kind of shift into
Sure.
entrepreneurs making more money, because there's so many entrepreneurs that are poor. There's so many entrepreneurs losing money.
Mhm.
I'm in this industry, so I see so many businesses that don't make a profit. So, like when I interview brokers and things, I want to know what's the most you've ever made, because if you've never broke 6 figures, you're not going to break it with me unless you change the paradigm, right? Unless you
Right.
change your financial thermostat. So let's talk about a little bit about that, how entrepreneurs, because most of my listeners are entrepreneurs, business owners, how can they change their paradigm to earning money?
So it's the same thing. It wouldn't,
Same
like you
thing.
said, whether it's mental health, physical fitness, income, relationships, paradigms are just mental programs, and it goes across the whole spectrum of our physical experience. But there are some things as entrepreneurs that we need to kind of relabel and reclassify. As entrepreneurs, we're getting some information. Maybe it's a new business idea, and then we're attempting to do something, right? And then we're going to get resistance or success, not failure, but resistance or success. And we need that feedback, absolutely critical, so that our subconscious mind can sort of plan, do, review, and either alter or continue. So it's quite necessary to hit these walls.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we don't learn. Same thing when a brand new baby. If you didn't fall down, you wouldn't understand gravity. It hurts. Well, that's why you don't jump off a 20-foot building when you're an adult, because as a baby, you learned on a smaller scale, right? So it's very important to relabel things. Failure is when somebody quits.
Yeah.
Everything else is feedback, and it's quite necessary. Even my $500,000 hit in business, when I took the hit, I mean, my pulse didn't even raise because I was aware of this information. Now, do I want that to keep happening? No. Right. So I changed the plan, but I don't change my goal.
Yeah.
21 billion in net worth and assets is my goal. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if there's COVID, an economic collapse, new currencies. None of that matters.
Yeah.
It only matters the vision I hold, and that I keep gathering information and trying new things and evolving and creating.
Like Bob Proctor says that. He says, I see only the obstacle. I mean, only the obstacle. Oh no, I only see only the vision, only the vision, only the vision. The obstacle must give way. That's why he talks about focusing on the candle, bringing that energy to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens with most entrepreneurs, they start their business, they're all excited, obviously, or they're in their business and they're having some success. Then they hit some resistance. Maybe could be anything, COVID or a downturn or something. And what it does is they let the environmental stimulus lower their vibration. Then they get worried, fear, and doubt. What if my business
happens to all of us?
All of us, right? We're not taught this stuff in school.
Employees right now is the biggest battle with all business owners, and employees are like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this anymore. So it gets them off path, off course, because they're dealing with employee issues. Now, go ahead.
That becomes a self-fulfilling doom cycle, Bob would call it. You get some resistance. You let the resistance lower your vibration, fear, doubt, worry. That has to transmit to and through your body, and it will cause more things to make that happen. That's what self-sabotage is. Instead of understanding, wait, this is just resistance, stay calm, keep the vision. What do I need to do? Who do I need to network with? Who do I need to bring in? What do I need to do to change this? How do we get past this? But staying in a high vibration, realizing it's healthy and necessary.
That's why Tony Robbins talks about changing your state. Like change your state right away.
So he does it physically. Yeah, he does it physically. We do it mentally. But that's exactly right. He's doing what we do, but people don't understand why he's doing it, because he doesn't get to the foundation of why. What is a vibration? Why do we need to hold it high? Like, how does that affect creation? There's a whole level of information below, like what a Tony Robbins would teach. And even Tony says, 95% of you are going to go home and not do this.
1,000%.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to change the paradigm.
I mean, he's got people that have, suicide for 10, 15, 20 times, and they keep coming back, repeating the same old paradigm.
Yeah, because they're not teaching at a foundational level what a paradigm is and how to change it. You have to.
Oh, he's not teaching that. That is correct. He says
snap
out of it. Well, you can't just snap out of it. I would, just snap out of it.
No, Tony's amazing. I mean, he is an inspirational, motivational speaker. We are an educational.
Oh, I love Tony. Yeah.
We're more in the educational. Let's actually change this type of thing.
So what's three good? I like threes, obviously, but what's three good, really good skills, lessons, techniques that you can teach our audience, whether it's building wealth, whether it's being on time, whether it's, anxiety.
I'm going to steal this. I'm going to steal this right from Bob. Yeah, I'm going to steal it right from Bob. Is, for your goal for entrepreneurs, it's to write down your goal on a goal card.
Yeah.
And carry it with you, like very, very clear and concise. Like I have two. One is short term, one is long term. And you should auto suggest that to yourself. So if I ask you what's your name, you would say your name. That's how you should say your goal.
So your goal should be on an index card. How many goals at once?
No more than two usually. One.
Okay, so work on one habit at a time,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 goals on an index card. Okay.
Yeah. So that's one thing, is to less than 3% of the world has a goal, believe it or not. I mean, most people in our circles do, but that's a small circle.
Well, I mean, they come up with New Year's resolutions, right? And
that's not a goal.
That's not a goal, but they don't even make the New Year's resolutions.
You know what a New Year's resolution is? A New Year's resolution is saying, let me decide to procrastinate until the first of the year to change my mind. That's not what entrepreneurs do. We get an idea, and you know this. We get an idea. If it resonates, we act. We call somebody, we implement, we fund it. We start with what we have and we move forward based on intuition.
Yeah.
That's not what the masses do. New Year's resolutions.
All right. Number 1 is
so have a goal card, right? Have a goal card
with 2 goals.
Yeah. Number 2, what Bob does.
Short-term goals or long-term?
I like to have one for the year and one overarching. So I'll give you mine. My short-term goal this year is I'm so happy and grateful that I'm earning in excess of $10 million a month through multiple revenue sources in a calm, confident, heavenly manner. There's a lot of reason why we use those words, like I am so happy and grateful, which I'll get into another time. But that's clear and concise. That's this year. My bigger goal is I'm so happy and grateful that I'm worth in excess of $21 billion in net worth and assets by age 60. There's a timeline, very definitive.
How old are you now?
What's that, sorry?
50, how old are you now?
51.
Okay, so you got 9 years.
Now, when I set the $21 billion goal, I had 2 revenue streams. It was like 5 years ago. We just passed 33 revenue streams yesterday. So I'm not worth 21 billion, but it does appear things are moving in that direction.
Yeah.
Because all I do is maintain a high vibration and focus on the goal.
Do you think Elon Musk has a high vibration?
Yeah, but he's an unconscious competent, which means he's doing these things, but he can't articulate and teach it to other people. That's another thing that unfortunately happens. He'll tell you to do this, this, and this, but he's not telling you what a paradigm is, how to change it, what a vibration is, and how to get into one.
And Jeff Bezos is the same.
Same way. Warren Buffett, they're not experts in the mind, they're experts in their industry.
Yeah. So go call with 2 goals. Sorry.
Yeah, the other thing that Bob did, no worries, is to give gratitude. This is something that I had no idea what it was. An attitude of gratitude. I am now in a constant state of gratitude, which is also like saying I'm in a high vibration all the time, because I understand what it is. Gratitude is when you're expressing thanks for what you have. And whether you believe in God or universal intelligence, whatever you believe in, the fact of the matter is gratitude is a high vibration energy that we put out.
Yeah.
And what we put out comes back, right? It's the law of cause and effect. If I want this light to be on, I turn the switch on.
Yeah.
I don't flick it up and down, which is what most people are doing with their goal, by the way. Intermittent energy that does not produce results. It's consistent energy that produces results. So it's the same thing with our goal. If you wanted to order a pizza and you just kept flip-flopping, I want a pizza or a sub, or a pizza or a sub, pizza or a sub, pizza or a sub. That's what most people are doing. You or I want a pizza, we pick up the phone, we order it. It's no different with a $21 billion company. I want a $21 billion company. This is what I will do.
Yeah.
Now, consciously, that sounds absurd, but subconsciously doesn't know the difference.
Yeah.
So giving gratitude every day. Bob has these little gratitude journals, but you can do it in a journal. Just write out 10 things you're grateful for every morning and every night. Takes a couple of seconds.
Every night, 10 different things.
Yeah.
Or you can say them out loud. So I have my daughter.
Both is good. Write it and say it. Yes.
I have a favorite thing she's grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ask her to, say what she needs help on. And
that's
then
asking for guidance is another thing that Bob does too. Yeah, perfect. So having that little journal where you're every morning and every night, you're building the habit of visualizing your goal, you're giving gratitude. And again, this is where it sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's metaphysics. It really is cause and effect, energy and energy out type stuff.
Yeah. And I encourage everybody to watch the movie The Secret. Yeah.
Absolutely. That sparked a lot of interest. And I guess the third thing I would say is to get the book Think and Grow Rich.
Mm-hmm.
That's what started it for me. And then obviously I started working with Bob and taking high level programs and courses. But the thing that started it, and I studied that book, I still have it. right? I've read it, I don't know how many times. When somebody does what's in that book, they will become successful at whatever they're focusing on. It's a mathematical equation.
Yeah, whatever they're focusing on.
Whatever it
So
is.
number one is an index card with 2 goals on it.
Yep.
Be specific on those goals.
Yep.
Number 2
It's the gratitude, 10 things you're
is
grateful for.
gratitude. Yeah,
Yep.
10 things you're grateful for in the morning, 10 things you're grateful for at night. Write it
Mhm.
down, verbalize it. And then number 3 is get Think and Grow Rich and read it.
Yep. And study it
So-
every day, a little bit of it every day, and no timeline. Just keep studying it over and over and over. It's literally what Bob did, by the way.
I know. Now
Literally.
that Bob is gone, who's teaching in his place?
Well, I mean, Bob and Sandy created the consultant program, which I am a consultant. So there's about 3,000 of us now that are licensed to teach his material.
Okay.
There's probably 10 of us that are doing it at a very, very high level globally, but we are continuing his work, literally.
That's amazing.
It is. It's
Right,
a
so-
blessing. It's an honor.
Any last words of wisdom?
The only thing I like to say is we become what we think, so be careful what you're thinking.
And always think about positive. Don't think about the
Yes.
negative. Don't think about what you don't want. Always think about what you do want. And
Absolutely.
that's in entrepreneurship, that's in business, that's in money, that's in, that's in everything really. That's in your personal life, your business life, your family life. Okay.
Absolutely.
So how can people find you?
They can go to briandalmaso360.com. I have a 360, so BRIAN DALMASO 360.com.
And we'll
And
put
they-
that in the show notes too.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's great. They had my contact and about what we do. We also have a company called the Matrix Success Network, which is our mindset consulting company. And we're on Instagram too, Brian Dalmaso. So any one of those ways, my team will catch it, and happy to help, in any way that we can. We have a ton of free content too, as well as obviously, coaching programs.
Where can I get your free content from? Those places?
YouTube, Matrix Success Network YouTube channel. And we also have a Facebook group. If you go into Facebook and punch in Matrix Success Network, I think there's a Thinking and Results Facebook group, or there's a couple of them in there. One of them is free, and we have free content in there as well.
Okay, wonderful. So lots of ways to get in contact with you, lots of ways.
Yes.
And you are available for hire. Do you mostly work with corporations? Do you work with individuals? What do you mostly work with?
So mostly with entrepreneurs. We have one-to-many coaching groups. I do one-on-ones. We do work with companies too. I would, as probably like 10 or 20% of what we do. We have worked with corporations, which I enjoy a lot. But most of our work is with high-level or people that want to be high-level entrepreneurs.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so my last question for you, because I'm the Exit Rich Authority. Have you read my book yet?
Yes, I have. It's amazing. Yeah, you gave that out to everybody for free. I was so blessed.
Yeah, that was at my
grab
book
that.
signing at our mastermind. Yeah.
Love it.
So what's your exit going to be? I know you're going to hire me.
Well,
What's
so the
your exit
software company,
strategy?
you and I were talking, the software company, which we didn't really talk about, we're building it as we speak. We're going to obviously build it up, and we are going to look to exit. So I'll be picking your brain on that one. But my consulting company, just like Bob, I'm going to be doing this the day I pass. It's not for sale. It's my passion. It's why I'm on this planet. We have an amazing team. I'm going to scale and grow that all the way to the end, and probably pass it on to my daughter. I mean, she's in this content as well. Oh, you haven't met her yet. You're going to meet her soon. She's going to come to the BA. She's a 25-year-old version of me. She understands this about as good as I do, and she teaches it all over the world to
That's
female
amazing.
entrepreneurs. Yeah.
So we'll definitely have you back on to talk about these principles and techniques.
I'd love to,
some
yeah.
more. Usually my shows are all about $1 million, $1 billion exits. We just had the fabulous Snap Fitness, how he sold the first time for 40 million, then he turned around and sold it again for 30 million.
Wow.
But I wanted to have you on because I always say you'll never grow the business beyond what you can grow the owner.
Absolutely.
You'll never grow your business beyond what you can grow your employees.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
mindset
so true.
is everything,
Yeah.
everything. And it's paradigms. We all have to change our paradigms. We all have, what you said, paradigms are not good or bad, but it's controlling the results. And if you don't like the results you're getting, then
You
must
said it perfectly. You said it perfectly. It's very important to understand a paradigm isn't good or bad. It's just, if you want to improve your fitness or your health or your wealth, then we need to change the mental programs. Somebody like Richard Branson probably doesn't need to change his paradigms. He's healthy, spiritually connected, philanthropist, humanitarian, multi-billionaire. he probably doesn't need to change his paradigm.
Well, how did he operate in all those plot paragraphs that
It's what we call an
generate all
unconscious
these
competent.
massive results? What's that?
He's what we call an unconscious competent. 1 in a million people for some reason, and Bob doesn't know why either. I asked him. Some people are just kind of born with a healthy set of paradigms, or I don't know a lot about Richard's upbringing, but there might have been very good parenting. Hard to say, but there are unconscious competence.
It's your environment growing up. It's,
Mhm.
you know, most of the programming comes from your younger years.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, correct.
I think I heard somewhere, read somewhere that how you're programmed really happens between ages of 1 to 3. Is that right?
1 to 7, yeah.
1 to 7, yeah.
Yeah.
So by 7, you're done. You're not
Well,
done. but you
around
can
age 6 or 7, you can start to question things a little bit, you
Yeah.
know. But
But
certainly,
that's
but
why-
like I said, we end up in school, so
Whatever traumatic, you know, events occur to people, you know, over the age of 7, obviously, but the majority of it is between 1 to 7. Now you can
Yeah.
change that, but you have to make
absolutely,
effort, and it's a daily effort to change this paradigm.
absolutely, yeah.
Well, you've been amazing. You've dropped a lot of golden nuggets here today.
No, thanks for having me.
And of course, I thank all of our Facebook friends. I thank all of our LinkedIn friends and all of our Exit Rich followers. And make sure you subscribe to Exit Rich. Make sure you pass this content on to your friends, your circle of influence. You know, I always say your network equals your net worth. So make sure
Absolutely.
you pass this on, and we'll see you next time on Exit Rich.
Thanks for listening to the Exit Rich podcast. Don't forget to check out Michelle Seiler Tucker's Build to Sell Blueprint books and Exit Rich, along with more blogs, videos, and resources at exitrichpodcast.com. Be sure to connect with Michelle on Facebook or LinkedIn, and stay tuned for her next episode by subscribing in your favorite podcast player.